Welcome to the Liquidity Event, a show about all things personal finance with a laser focus on taxes, financial independence, and equity compensation. Hosted by AJ and Shane of Brooklyn FI, each episode will focus on a personal finance topic, some driven by news headlines and sometimes driven by listener questions. And sometimes you'll just get two money nerds rambling about what they think is interesting. Just a quick note before we get started, this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered tax or investment advice.
Hello, and welcome to the Liquidity Event. We're your hosts, AJ.
And this is Ed.
Hey, Ed, how's it going? This is episode 123, being recorded on October 27th, airing on October 5th. Quick reminder to all of our listeners, we will always answer your questions live on the pod. You can email us or you can leave us a voicemail. The link to do that is memo.fm/the liquidity event. Hello, Ed. How are you doing? It's great to have you on the pod.
Hi, AJ. I am awesome. All right. My daughter's in daycare. Life is good. I don't know if you can tell by the little pink beanbag behind me that my office is being encroached on by my daughter's play space. So slowly but surely, I don't know if you know what's happening here. Yeah, exactly. But it's great. So
amazing. Amazing.
How are you doing, AJ?
I'm doing great. Yeah, I was at a conference last week in Minneapolis with Shane. Got to see some old friends, make some new friends. I love financial planners. Like, financial planners were just like, mostly good people who like to have a good time. So it's always a good time at a financial advisor conference. Exactly. And where in the world are you located these days?
Yeah, I'm in my home office in the basement of Philadelphia. I keep trying to get all of our clients in New York to move down to Philadelphia, and we're having some success. So the Philly client base is expanding. So, it's working. I'm going to keep trying, guys. As long as you guys are with me, Philly's awesome.
Make the case. Make the case for Philly. You have 1 minute.
Okay. Do you not like New York because it's too busy and too crowded, but you want the same access to restaurants and amazing people and diversity of art and jobs and kind of all the architecture and the beautiful parks? Well, Philadelphia is just right down the road, an hour and a half away, okay, where your salary can take you a lot further, but you get to have the same great people just in a smaller space and, something that's a little bit less overwhelming.
Compelling. And what's your state and city tax rate all in?
Let's see. It's 6. The PA is 3.07. Philly is about 3.7. So it keeps going down. So half, yeah.
Half, yeah.
Yeah,
so
I don't even talk
50%.
about the taxes. I'm just talking about cost of living. But yeah, the taxes too, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. I love Philly. Philly's a fun place. What was a restaurant that we went to? I went to visit you like last year. What was that called?
Yeah, we went to Soraya. We should be getting paid to plug them because they are awesome. But they're on all the lists anyway, so they don't really need our endorsement.
Right. I think Zahav is on my list. That's the next one.
Yeah,
gotta go there for the good hummus.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, it is fall, which means it is open enrollment season for most of our clients. So if you find yourself with an employer, if not already, usually we see open enrollment either happen in sometimes August, sometimes September, but often November is really when we start to see open enrollment happen, which means this is your once a year opportunity to elect health insurance benefits and some other benefits that companies are starting to throw on. I love open enrollment. I think so many of our clients and their friends, and those of you who are not yet clients, like underutilize open enrollment season. It's annoying, right? Like HR stuff is boring. You get this email, you got to log into the portal. They change the portal. You got to go to the stupid webinar. Like, Ed, you worked in corporate America. Like, you've been to those like boring presentations, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You have to stay there, and it usually comes with a giant packet in the mail, and you're like, I don't want to look through this. There's a bunch of happy people in it, and you're like, I don't really understand why they're smiling. I'm choosing life insurance or health insurance. It's definitely something that's overwhelming. It's actually been quite nice this year, a lot because our YEP season usually overlaps with open enrollment. A lot of our clients have actually been booking specialized 15-minute open enrollment calls where they've been sharing the screen and we've been going through it. As we're working for larger companies, clients, there's a lot of offerings there besides just health insurance and dental and the basic things that you think about. There's a ton more stuff. And as your life changes, you'll actually start to see maybe you actually need some of those things: dependent care accounts, health savings accounts, legal stuff that they offer, the life insurance and things we're going to discuss. But it's a lot more, and people should take advantage of that stuff. I know they're big packets, and it's annoying to read through them, but you know what? It's worth it. And once you do it once, it'll be a lot easier going forward.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is once you elect, sometimes some of the better portals will actually save what you did last year and you can kind of just go through and say, yes, but you're right. Like as your life changes, right, maybe you got married, maybe you added a family member, maybe you lost a family member. We have some clients who are going through separations or divorces. Like these are important. This is an important opportunity. And by the way, if you are going through one of those changes, like a marriage or welcoming a child, you do get a chance to change your benefits outside of this once a year period. So it's called a qualifying life event. So something good or bad happens, your situation changes, you actually will have an opportunity to make changes. But for those of you who don't have a qualifying event, this period is key. Do not miss the deadline. This health insurance is highly regulated. So a lot of these companies are trying to get in by the deadline. So don't miss out on getting health insurance because then you are in deep shit. So I think let's start with health insurance, right? So today we're going to talk about all these benefits that are available. Then we're going to answer a listener question about long-term care insurance, which I'm very curious to hear your take on because I'm sure we agree, Ed, just because we agree on most things. But I'm curious to hear your take. So let's start with open enrollment. Like what's the big ticket item we're talking about here with open enrollment?
Yeah, I mean, the big ticket item is always about medical insurance, right? Yeah. And with dental and vision kind of being secondary. But yeah, the biggest thing is health insurance and discussing whether you want to be paying a lot of premium on a monthly basis, but have a larger deductible, or be paying more premium during a month, but have a lower deductible. So these are the PPO plans and the high deductible plans. And all of that really comes down to is, what do you think your health expenses are going to be kind of going forward this year? Do you think you're going to be going to the doctor a lot? I know that's hard to predict. No one can predict getting hit by a bus. But I think it's more of a lot of our clients feel more secure if they have a better health plan, if they pay a little bit more in premium, but know that regardless of what happens when they go to the doctor's office, they're going to be covered. Most companies will typically have 2 or 3 options, one being the PPO, which is the premium plan, which is more expensive. And then they'll have usually a high deductible plan or something in the middle there, which in terms of premium payments can be in the middle ground, and then you'll have the lowest premium amount in your high deductible plan. And that's the discussion you'll have, whether if you have a new family member, like for example, I have an 18-month-old daughter who requires a lot of pediatric care, and that's nothing new. It's just simply because, in the first year, there's a ton of pediatric visits, there's a ton of things that you have to do. Our health expenses did go up a little bit. So as a result, we have to consider what that meant when we were looking at our open enrollment periods.
Yeah, I think, health insurance, it's always, usually there's not that many choices. I have seen companies where there's like 15 choices. I hate when companies do that, right? It's like, just make it simple. But yeah, are you the kind of person that is willing to take the risk of a high deductible plan, meaning that you could end up paying a lot more, quote unquote, out of pocket? Usually it's $6,000 or $7,000 a year is typically where we see those high deductible plans start. Now, for some of you, that might be an absurd amount to spend on healthcare. For others are going, actually, that sounds pretty good. I might go with that plan because I know I'm going to hit my deductible. And health insurance is the most important thing. By the way, everyone, you have to have health insurance. This is a non-negotiable. If you don't have it through work, you need to get it through one of the state exchanges. We have seen it, and we have heard so many anecdotes of it completely ruining someone's life in terms of medical bankruptcy. It's a must-have, in my opinion. Health insurance is the biggest one. You mentioned dental and vision. As someone who has needed a lot of dental work and requires glasses and contact lenses, I have never seen a great dental or vision plan that's life-changing. So, it helps you save a couple $100 a year. Sometimes your teeth cleanings might be covered, but like these are, in terms of like what a company offers you, like dental and vision is like medium to low priority.
Yeah. My college professor at Temple hated a dental insurance. He always railed against it and said it was one of the stupidest products that you could buy, because if you start looking at the numbers of how much you're paying premium and how much dental cleaning costs, it's really not worth. And considering that if you do need actual medical treatment for dental, like root canals, they end up actually being covered through medical insurance a lot of the times, not going through the dental. So what are you actually paying for?
Yeah, and most of the time, in dental insurance, they'll just say, well, that's cosmetic. If you need a crown or something, they'll cover the most basic, anyway. Yeah. So I think, speaking of insurance, health insurance, most important big ticket item. That one to me is like the most personal, right? Like that's going to be, we actually have a great calculator on our website, which we'll link to, which will help you kind of determine a lot of our clients will see a therapist weekly or monthly. Like that's going to be a big expense. Hopefully you can find a therapist that takes your insurance. Maybe not. Maybe you need a larger health savings account to help offset some of that cost. So hard deductible plans while you're paying a lower premium and you might have more out of pocket, you have the opportunity to kind of bridge that gap with these HSAs, these health savings accounts, which we love here at BKFI.
Yes.
But with a big asterisk, I don't find myself recommending high deductible plans to our clients very often because, our client, like if you have a family, you probably need a little bit more coverage. It probably makes sense financially to go for that gold plan.
Exactly. The HSA isn't the deciding factor in all of in choosing your health plan. It's your overall health costs and where you think it's going to be. The HSA just literally just helps, lift the burden a little bit if you are paying a high amount because it's just giving you a tax preferential treatment. But in most cases, like just, focus on the health, make sure you're covered, make sure you have all the things.
Is it worth the hassle? Like, sorry, HSAs, great. You fund it with your paycheck. It's confusing. You got to get a reimbursement. Like for a $1,200, dental exam, like at the end of the day, you're busy. Like are your dollars, is your time better spent elsewhere? But that's a personal decision. I want to talk about life insurance because life insurance, it's so complex. There's a multi-billion dollar industry of selling life insurance plans. At Broadcom, we do not sell life insurance plans. It's very important. We recommend them to all of our clients if there's need. But with life insurance, at its most basic, we're talking about if something were to happen to you, if you were to die, is there anyone else relying on your income? And would they have to downgrade their lifestyle if they didn't have your income anymore? And I would say most of our clients, the answer is yes, right?
Absolutely.
Whether it's a spouse, whether it's a child or a couple children, it could be a sibling, it could be a parent. Our clients are often the high earners in their family, and we need to protect that income. And I think this is the most overlooked benefit in open enrollment. Would you agree with that?
I would 100% agree with that because most individuals will take the basic $50,000 policy that's kind of you're automatically enrolled in.
Which is nothing. That's nothing. That covers the funeral.
Exactly. Compared to most salaries, it's really kind of nothing. And I really think it's important for clients to look at all the policies that are available to them. Usually it's a multiple of your salary, whether it's 3, 5, 10 times. In our recommendations, we always like to do about 10 times salary when we look at life insurance, making sure also that you designate the correct beneficiary onto that life insurance. And you can do primary and contingent beneficiaries in case something happens. But really, that's really important, whether that's a spouse or a child or a trust or a parent or whoever that is relying on your income, that you really do take a look at the life insurance options. And I know it gets a little confusing in there because there's life insurance and then there is additional death and disability insurance, all basically part of the same idea that in case something happens to you, or death and dismemberment. So it's all part of the same life insurance. Exactly. It's all part of the same thing that if something were to happen to you, who is going to get this income stream? We need to protect all of the things that you've built. You worked very hard to get to this level of income. We want to make sure that it's protected if something were to happen to you.
And I'm sad to say that I just heard another anecdote over the weekend of, young family, 2 kids, one of the main earner, horrible, tragic accident, no life insurance. Now that widow is not only grieving the love of their life and the father of their children, but the income of $500,000 that they were relying on to live the lifestyle is gone. And, that person was in their earning years. They probably weren't saving a ton because they knew that they were going to be earning more. And that's a life ruiner, aside from the tragedy is so big already. Like this is a box we can check. But I think knowing that you can always, not always, but often employers will allow you to buy extra coverage. And the other thing is that it's a group policy. So if you or I were to go outside of BKFI and try to go get life insurance, I'm uninsurable. I have a heart condition. No one will insure me. They're like, go fuck yourself. But through a group policy, because I'm an employee, they have to basically bring you into this plan. That's how insurance works. It's this law of large numbers. So it's, especially if you have a pre-existing condition, I feel like life insurance can often come to the top of like my priorities of like what's important when I'm looking at jobs and I'm looking at offers. The ability to buy up 10 times salary in life insurance it's going to cost you money, right? It's not free. It's going to cost you a couple $100, maybe $1,000 a year, and that's such a hard expense to swallow, especially when you start making money for the first time. But I can't emphasize how important it is.
No, it's incredibly important. And I would also say that it's still most likely going to be discounted from what you can find in the individual market.
For sure.
But because it is a group, like AJ mentioned, the law of large numbers, you are now looking, especially at a large corporation, they can kind of predict, the cost of your insurance. So as a result, they can discount that price. If you're going out there on your own with your own health history and everything, you're not going to get those same type of discounts, regardless, even if you go on the state exchanges. So absolutely important to get that at least 10 times salary. And you'll see that listed out usually as basic life and then supplemental life. And that's how you can break out the two different components.
Supplemental life. Remember that. Yeah, let's get that one tattooed. And what's the best non-traditional benefit you've seen a company offer employees outside of the regular life insurance, health insurance?
Yeah, I mean, some of the things have been really cool, like gym reimbursements. I think those have been kind of cool. There's also been some legal planning that have actually some of our clients have used. I don't know. I'm trying to think. I think there was one they offered a certain amount of cash if you did some volunteer work you were able to spend and donate it. They would match your donations.
Yeah. I love that.
I haven't seen anything like you get a jet ski if you sign up for this. But most of them, they've been out of the box, have been more of additional ways to improve health, additional ways to improve well-being, those types of things.
I struggle with that a little bit, especially as a business owner. Our employees have asked for gym reimbursement, and I'm like, okay, fine. You want $65 a month gym reimbursement? Do you know how much it's going to cost for us to manage that plan? All right, we'll just raise everyone's salary. But you know what I mean? I do think there's this it's like marketing from the HR department. It's we need a wellness fund.
This only applies to the largest corporations for them, where it's just the marginal rate to administer these plans aren't expensive.
For sure.
Yeah, I'm honestly more thinking about obviously what we have at BKFI is that we're able to get merch. So there's a lot of merch in some
merch. Yeah, that's the perks. The employee store.
Advertisement.
Is the merch off the hook or not? Yeah. Are you proud to wear your company swag? Right. Big important consideration when considering a job offer.
Another important thing is, would you wear this swag if you were to leave your company? I personally have swag from companies that I sometimes have a hard time wearing because their logos are pretty bright enough, and I don't always want to advertise as much as I respect my previous employers. I don't really want to advertise all their business while working for
Luckily, the BKFI merch is pretty subtle in terms of branding, so it's all good. So another sleeper benefit, which is kind of hard to find sometimes, is with retirement planning. Hopefully, there's a 401k. Luckily, thanks to the work of a few really smart psychologists, 401ks are now a demand, right? Yeah. If you're going to go work for a company, they better have a 401k. So that's awesome. I'd love to see 401ks everywhere. But we see this benefit at some of these more, newly launched, let's call them startups, called the Mega Backdoor Roth IRA, which is a fancy way of saying instead of just being able to put the regular maximum into your 401k, you can actually put almost double than the regular person. So this, if you have the ability to save, if your salary is high enough, you can cover all your expenses. This is really a huge unlock to get to financial independence a lot faster. If you can super fund your 401k for 5 years of employment, you're going to be $1 million with compound interest ahead of your peers just from making these simple contributions into this tax advantaged account. So I love the Mega Backdoor.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, those are awesome. Considering that most people only hear about the $23,000 that you could put in, the max is really for 2024.
Thank you for saying the number. I was dancing around the number because I forgot.
The total number is actually $69,000.
$69,000. There you go. That's a number I can remember.
And it's set to increase because the IRS just released their brackets for 2025. So this is
breaking news.
This is an absolute unlock that if you can do the Mega Backdoor, you have to have an in-plan conversion, and you have to have a Roth 401k in your plan. So this is not all companies have this. It's something that you have to take a look at in your summary plan descriptions. And a lot of our clients, if you send us their summary plan descriptions, we can tell you about that.
Yeah, and often companies, they don't necessarily advertise it because it's one of those weird benefits where it's so beneficial if you're in a position to take advantage of it. Yes. And I would say most employees across the board are not in a position to be able to save $70,000 of their income each year. A lot of our clients are, and we love them for that. That's why we provide a lot of value. So I have found that companies are kind of hush hush about this because it might generate some ire from the, not highly compensated employees, if you will.
Most of the time, we've had to dig deep in the actual 401k documents or ask clients, can you go ask your HR person if these things exist? Because we don't really know.
It says it in the document. That's sometimes
I've never seen it anywhere else. Yeah.
Cool. All right. What else do we have? Oh, disability insurance. That's a big one. Ooh, I'm bad at selling insurance. I'm bad at convincing people that they need disability insurance.
Is awesome. In that it's if we talked about life insurance, if something were to happen to you, right, and you need to protect your income. But this disability insurance is so important that if something happens to you, but you're not dead, but you're not able to work, so you're not able to provide that same level of income, or maybe the jobs you're now able to take cannot provide that same level. This is an opportunity for you to be able to, have insurance to help you back up that income. So there's short-term disability, there's long-term disability. Most of the time, both of these are company provided, but at certain levels. And then you're able to buy a little bit more if you want to and pay a little bit extra. I think this is secondary to life insurance, probably the second most insurance component here. And the reason is, again, because no one thinks about it, right? Insurance is hard to sell because it's an expense you don't really get an instant gratification or benefit for. It's like, well, what if this happens to me? It's kind of like
you
auto
hope you
insurance.
never need it. What a terrible product, right?
Exactly. Why would I ever use this thing? Why am I buying this assuming that something's going to happen to me? But time over time, you see this, that where disability insurance or life insurance would have been so helpful in situations. But the really important thing is kind of the two differentials between short-term disability, which is for something that's like less than 60 days, and long-term disability is if you have something that happens where it's impacting you for a substantial period of time, maybe for the rest of your life.
And people think of disability like, oh, I got in a ski accident and I can no longer, use my legs to walk around, which is important for client meetings, or, I'm blinded because I got in a car accident and I can't do this. But what people don't realize is like a disability is also back pain. Yes. Right. There are these like other kind of, or, arthritis, you can't type anymore or what's carpal tunnel, these things that happen that make your job much more difficult, that aren't so dramatic from an accident. They're just built up over time because we're all sitting at our desks all day. So my takeaway from this is get up and make sure you do your 2 15-minute walks in the sunshine every day. What else?
And a lot of it is less control. It's okay. In the disability space too, there's, when your company provides it, there's a little bit less control over it. You kind of get what you get. There's only a little bit of times where you can add to it. But first things first, definitely get up out of your chair. Stop having for a little bit, look around. And then sign up for the disability insurance. Make sure just in case you're not getting up enough. So
TLDR for open enrollment. It's super important. Don't miss the deadline. Health insurance is a big ticket item. Life insurance, if you can do the buy up on that, absolutely do. I mean, my recommendation is as high as they'll let you go. It's a super value benefit. Often, by the way, if you get one of these policies, not always, it's not a guarantee, but you can often take these policies with you. So if you get life insurance from, company A and then you get a different job later, sometimes you can take that policy with you. So make sure you do some research on that. Mega backdoor Roth IRA, if it's available to you, supercharge your 401k and your tax advantaged investment savings. Other fringe benefits, wellness fund, great, love that. I'll take a gym membership, 50% off. Legal planning is one that comes up sometimes, which is, benefit where you get access to a network of attorneys, sometimes to do an estate plan. I've heard mixed reviews. I've heard some great experiences, and a lot of times it's like, oh, it's an outdated list. So the first 5 people I called, never got back to me. So I wouldn't put too much faith in that legal planning one. If you have a financial planner, we'll find you an attorney.
Right, exactly. Most attorneys and these other kind of resources you can find through just personal referrals through your other, whether it's through a family network or through a financial planner. We've had clients buy them. It's kind of, exactly. Mixed reviews. I don't know where they get this list from. It's not really like they have, it's this attorney that we really like. It's more of just like a list from some organization that compiles it.
Yeah, who knows? I'm sure there's someone's making money off that list, and I don't know who, and I don't like that. So, all right. So open enrollment season, happy spooky season, happy open enrollment. Want to switch gears to a listener question that we got. About, while we're speaking, this is a super fascinating episode. Sorry, Ed, we're talking about insurance all time.
Someone's got to do it. Someone's got to take the medicine.
Someone's got to do it. Yeah, it's true. And you probably got it on the mind given your new family member in that edition. Question is, should we buy long-term care insurance or some other type of financial product to plan for large costs down the line? I've heard assisted living and skilled nurses can be very expensive, and Medicare covers very little and only at the end of hospital stays. So this question is, long-term care insurance, do I need it? So first of all, let's define our terms. What is long-term care insurance? Yeah.
So long-term care insurance is insurance for care for individuals that require it, usually towards the end of life, where it's either an assistant that comes in and helps you out with daily activities, or it's something where you have to go to a nursing home or a skilled nursing facility or a senior communal care and pay for those things, where basically the individual is no longer able to care for themselves, or they just require additional care, either medical or simply daily living expenses. That does end up being substantially expensive, whether it's an individual that has to come into your home, or you have to send them to basically a nursing home or another facility. And that's the insurance that you can get covers it on a daily basis. The point is, this is just another insurance product to be able to cover that large expense down the line. And this insurance is even harder to sell than any of the other insurances we mentioned, because who thinks about whether it's going to happen when they're 70 or 80 years old? The issue that this client has come up with is because they're noticing their parents. This is a lot of times when these insurance conversations come up. You're looking at your parents or your grandparents, and you're seeing that the help that they need
it's expensive. It's really expensive.
Really expensive. And you're noticing that sometimes, unfortunately, it falls upon the kids to do this. And now that you're kind of stuck in this middle generation, I think the Gen Z now, right, is in that middle generation where they're both taking care of their parents and their grandkids at the same time. So they're being stretched thin financially, emotionally, physically.
Gen X. Yeah.
Gen Z. Yeah, not Gen Z.
You're missing your X's and your Y's and your Z's.
And so this is a great point. In all of our retirement plans, we kind of build in, elevated healthcare costs in retirement. So when we when we build plans for ourselves, we actually have clients essentially self-insuring for that. They know that they're going to be able to grow investments, grow their assets to be able to support this cost. All those plans kind of have that built in. We do discuss it. We probably should be discussing it a little bit more now as our clients.
As we all get older, we're all slowly marching towards death.
Yeah. So long-term care insurance, I think it's a tool, right? And tools are sometimes like they're not a one-fits-all tool. It's like insurance. This long-term care insurance is usually sold as a solution for everything, but it usually ends up being extremely expensive. Even now, and the older you get, the more expensive it becomes.
Yeah, I mean, the issue is that people are living longer, right? 15, 20, 30 years ago, this was probably a good move, right? I'm going to retire at 65. At 75, my health's going to start failing and I'm probably going to need assisted living for 2 or 3 years. I don't want to save that. I'm going to buy a nice insurance policy. That was before the insurance companies caught on and the actuaries realized that people were living, not till 85, but till 95 or till 105. So insurance companies, basically, a lot of them went bankrupt because they couldn't actually fund these policies. And, insurance companies have to make money for insurance to work. So if they're not making money, then a lot of policies got canceled or just aren't paying out. So I think this is kind of an anachronistic product. I don't think it really makes sense anymore. Unfortunately, as so many financial institutions in this country, like it's either you're rich and you fund it yourself, or you're relying on kind of the shitty basic, I don't want to call it shitty, but it is shitty. The Medicare will get you into a home. Like you will be taken care of. It will not be a nice facility. You will not be excited about it. It's kind of the bare minimum to make sure that you're alive, right?
It will not be for a long term because they have a cap. And that's the Medicare, unfortunately, is still not there yet. Now, not to get political, but under the Harris proposal, there is actually a component where she is looking to expand Medicare because Medicare currently doesn't cover like live-in assistance, like people that come to your home. So this is one of the proposals that's currently being pitched. Let's call it. I don't know what's going to happen with it. Medicare is a whole other issue and how expensive it is. But in most cases, at least when we're looking at our clients, they are most likely able to self-insure and be able to protect against those, either for themselves or for their parents. We built that in, and we can always add it to a plan if the costs look low. But this insurance product is unfortunately usually just way too expensive for the value that it provides down the line and the ability to then actually access. The other thing is, you can buy the insurance, you can have the product and the policy, but then actually being able to get reimbursed for it. It's not like the insurance company is just going to start paying you money up front. They will want receipts. They'll want you to submit all the forms. I've had to help clients with some of these forms. We've had to go 5 times between the insurance company. They're like, you didn't fill this out correctly. This daily fee doesn't match. I mean, the hassle of it all is really difficult. And I really think that a really good investment strategy and a plan down the line right now to maybe put away money for this expense is probably the better option.
Yeah. And I mean, my best advice is, talk to your for those of you who have parents who are, aging into this state of life, like you need to know this information. We as your financial planners need to know this information. I've had clients say, oh yeah, my parents have a great long-term care policy that they bought in 1982. And I'm going, woof, awesome. We're not totally off the hook. There's going to be additional expenses. It's like you said, it's not a quick fix-it situation. And then we have other clients who are like, I have no idea. I don't know if my parents have $5 million in a 401k or they're going to rely on me. So just having these conversations as early as possible. I love that our clients are asking us about this, in their 30s and 40s. I think it's super smart planning. Like you said, Ed, like we are not actively recommending long-term care insurance policies. However, our financial models for financial independence include dramatically increased medical costs and healthcare costs in those last, 2 to 5 years of life. Because that's just, unless you degenerate very quickly or, go through an accident, dying can be slow.
Yeah. I mean,
always me with the cheerful
what a way to,
On that note. On that note, I think that's enough on insurance. But before we go, Ed, I have to ask you, have you seen the show Nobody Wants This?
Yes, absolutely, AJ. I've seen that show. It's fantastic, and I'm a huge fan. Yes, I think you said you binged it in overnight. I actually took
I watched it.
My wife and I watched it over
okay.
a couple days, but I thought it was fantastic.
Okay, as a fellow member of the tribe, we don't get a lot of like hot Jews and pop culture, so I thought it was fucking fantastic. So for those of you who are looking, whether you're interested in the hot Jews or not, it's just it's a great show. It's on Netflix. It's got Adam Brody and Kristen Bell. It's super fun. So Ed and I were riffing about that earlier. But thanks so much, Ed. It's always a pleasure to have you. And thank you, listeners. You can always email us your financial problems at liquidityevent@brooklynfi.com. And finally, Stans, you can leave a review if you want to be worried about it. We will see you next week. Thanks, Ed. Bye.